Rent Free Game, Splashway Beats, Splash in the check-in. Thank you for tuning in. Salute to everybody that's watching. First and foremost, I want to apologize for not making it to the live stream the other night. Just got completely tied up with work, and some big moves might be happening real soon. I'm not sure yet, but I've been keeping everybody posted on the Patreon page. So if you want to join the Patreon page, link is in the description box below. I've literally been making like 2 videos per day on this subject matter. I'm not sure if I'll be relocating or not. I'm not entirely sure just yet. All right. Check out all the other links in the description box below for the Cash App, for the PayPal, and to join the Facebook page. Okay. Your donations are much appreciated. A salute to everybody on the Patreon page. All right. So let's talk about this. So the live stream I was going to talk about the other night was going to be entitled, Ugly Girl Swag. All right. Because I've seen this many of times. Okay. Some of the biggest hoes that, we went to school with, that, we see out and about, the nightclub. I mean, hoes come in all different sizes and shapes, all right? All different faces and races, all right? But this particular type of hoe that I'm talking about is the ugly girl swag, all right? The ugly duckling, okay? The ugly duckling that either she was a loner, right? And she had to stay to herself. She saw her classmates. She saw some of her peers, some of the girls that were pretty. The pretty girls at the school, most of the time, they got attention from other girls, other males. Some of them were always caught up in some drama. It just kind of came to them. Very popular, always invited out, phone blowing up. They didn't really have to try hard to get attention. All right. But a lot of the pretty girls, most of them, not going to say all of them, but most of them, they were typically in long-term relationships, especially with the jocks or just people that were fairly popular at the school. The ugly girls, or the mud ducks, or the not so pretty looking ones, especially if the mud ducks had a pretty friend, right? The pretty friend felt pity on the mud duck friend because they've known each other for so long, and they bring them around. It's kind of like everybody gives attention to the pretty girl, and the wingman of the males that are trying to holler at the pretty friend, they won't even stomach even really dealing with the mud duck friend for that long. It's just like, it's not even worth me messing around or taking one for the team for this little bebop and rock steady in the face looking chick right here. Especially when they're younger. This woman right here, I can't even say no disrespect because it's like, you got a lot of people fired, but a lack of sexual discipline got these males fired right here. So I can't feel sorry for them. All right, a lack of sexual discipline. You are having sex with a woman while you're on the job. All right. But I will say this. Some of these women that lash out sexually like this, some of these women were overweight when they were younger. They were picked on for their looks, right? They envied some of the pretty girls. Not to say that they attacked them, right? It's just like, I'm not as pretty as her. I'm not as tall as her, right? My chest isn't as big as hers. My ass isn't as big as hers, right? My waist isn't as slim as hers, And so you have yourself a pretty friend, and you know the guys that are going after your friend, their friends are skipping over you. All right. So I'm going to break this down a little bit. So Tennessee cops, including married female officer, fired after repeated wild sex romps. Now, yes, this woman right here is married. All right. And when you read the article, it says that she was in an open relationship. A small Tennessee police station has been rocked by allegations of wild sexual misconduct after a married female officer allegedly has steamy romps with 6 male officers, including illicit on-duty liaisons, according to reports. Now, I'm not sure where this woman is from, because it said like a small county. Okay, that's what it said. A small Tennessee police station. All right. You know what I've heard over the years? Guys that really don't know women, that just want to get a passport because they feel like it's easier in other countries. They said, I want a small town girl. I don't want a girl from the big city. I want a small town girl because, you know, she hasn't been exposed to. And I'm like, these are guys that haven't really been with women. All right. You can hear it because small town women, these women get ran through, right? There's nothing to do in these small towns. I've been with small town women before. There's not really a movie theater to go. Everybody just doesn't want to go to the movies all the time. And it's not like they're just dropping good movies back to back to back to back to back, right? The shopping mall is a joke, right? The nearest biggest city is hours away. The nearest McDonald's is probably like 20 or 30 minutes away, right? There's nothing to do. There's not a park to go to. There's not a club to go to. You know, there's not anything interesting to go to. It's a welfare town that some of these people come from. And the only thing to do is just to get drunk and have sex. That's it. And they start off at a young age. Now, ugly girl swag, let me take it back a little bit. Ugly girl swag doesn't necessarily mean that they're always ugly, right? Now, this woman right here, this is a hard thing to look at, okay? I mean, this woman looks like the Mad TV logo with blonde hair. She's hideous, okay? You could tell that, you know, what she didn't complete growing up, she had to repeat. Do you understand what I mean by that? All right. So, and then you got some of these guys out here that I've heard in a travel space say that, you know, I typically don't want women who are, you know, dimes or nines or eights. I typically don't want women that all men want, right? Because, you know, it's a fear that some of these guys have. It's a fear. It's a lack of confidence. It's a certain level of insecurity. And I'm here to tell you, these are some of the women that they're speaking on, right? These are the type of women that they're speaking on. I typically don't want a woman who, the looks that she has, she looks like she can get a bunch of guys. And man, it don't matter from dime to dud, any woman can pull. Homeless women, toothless women, heavy smokers. There's always a man that wants them somewhere. There's always men who lack sexual discipline that are thirsty enough to have sex with these women. So if you're thinking you're gonna get a woman who's you think is, you know, not that pretty, that other men don't want because these men just have standards, you're in for a rude awakening. Some of these women are not so pretty or whatever. They get it in. Trust me. All right, they get it in. It's because it's a lack of confidence within themselves, right? They're still trying to find themselves, and they didn't really get the hot girl summer experience growing up, the popularity experience growing up. They envied somebody that was probably close to them or probably clowned them growing up that was nearby. And they kind of wanted that spotlight. That's why I say, some guys are afraid of dimes. They think they just been ran through. Man, a lot of these dimes have not been ran through. They have been in long-term relationships. They've always had a dude on their arm. But as far as, throwing it up in the air to different guys at a time, man, that's ugly girl swag right there. That's what duds do. That's what these little aardvarks right here do, right? That's what this koala bear would do. Not a dime, right? And let me tell you, going back, it doesn't always mean that they're ugly in the face. I met women who were extremely pretty. They were pretty, but inside, when they look in the mirror, they saw something different. They didn't feel pretty. They didn't feel happy. So they just went loose and wild sexually. You know what? There are going to be some women who are just extremely pretty, confident, and that's just what they do. Right? It goes both ways. And there are women who are not as attractive that aren't like this, right? But I've seen this quite often. And I'm talking about this because you'll meet women like this in Canada that are open and everybody knows it. And people just kind of turn a blind eye to it. When I was growing up, there were women here and there that I went to school with that acted in a way, that did this just for attention, just threw it up in the air, tossed it up to everybody just for attention. And they were always like overweight, or they had a whole bunch of acne on their face, so they were real strong in the face, or there was something like real peculiar about them. And the girls ran them out to school. They didn't last. Like, if they started doing this in whatever grade they in, by the end of the year, they transferred schools. The girls would dog them out. I remember one girl, she wasn't overweight, but she had a weird, like, kind of just a weird scent to her. Edges were real bad. Had a whole bunch of acne on her face. Just kind of weird looking in the face. And when they saw that she was tossing it up in the air for attention her 9th grade year, all the girls, when they saw her, they would bark at her like a dog, right, and clown her, and because they said she looked like a Rottweiler in the face, a Doberman Pinscher in the face. They was like, and I knew some of the girls that would do that to her. I'm like, why you do that to her? She was like, yeah, because she looked like a dog in the face. She a dog. Like, look at her face. I'm like, wow. This girl could not walk down certain parts of the school. She had to take the long way. She had to go around the school to get to her classes, because if she went through the hallways, they would dog her out, and eventually she had to transfer schools. All right. Some of these women, they do this for attention, because of what they see in the mirror, who they see getting the most attention in their family, their friends, on television, and they know, okay, I don't look like that, right? Anyways, Officer Megan Hall and her fellow law officers allegedly engaged in wild escapades that included sending dirty pictures taking her top off at Girls Gone Wild hot tub party, and even having oral sex with 2 officers at the Laverne, Tennessee police station. The steamy shenanigans in which Hall allegedly bragged about the size of one partner's genitals and claimed to be in an open marriage not only led Hall to be canned, but led to the firings of Sergeant Lewis Powell, Officer Juan Lugo, Sergeant Ty McGowan, and Detective Seneca Shields, according to a December internal investigation. Two other officers who allegedly had romps with Hall, Patrick Magliocco and Larry Holiday, kept their jobs but wound up suspended. Okay, these were some of the officers right here. Patrick Magliocco, I don't know how to say that name. Okay, she was tossing it up to him. She tossed it up to him. She tossed it up to him. So who was this? Sergeant Lewis Powell and Seneca Shields. They were the ones that got fired, right? The two other officers who allegedly had romps with Hall, Patrick and Larry Halliday. Who's Larry Halliday? Is this Larry Halliday? So he kept his job. And he kept his job. But he got fired and he got fired. You see a pattern here? Right? So, yeah, she got fired. Right? But the white men, no, you don't fire the white men. You suspend the white men. But the black men, you fire them. Okay? If I was these brothers right here, I would file a lawsuit. Okay? Because there's nothing illegal about having sex with your coworker. People are in these relationships, especially in Houston. There's a lot of people that relocate to some of these other states, and they relocate to Houston, and they work at the same job, right? It's not illegal to mess around with a coworker. But I mean, if you're with somebody knowingly that they're married, but they said that she was in an open relationship. But I could see how it could be against the police station policy. If I was these brothers right here, I would file a lawsuit. Call the ECC, file a lawsuit. Why? Because, you suspend the white males, but you fire me. But at the same time, you're almost asking for it because you lack sexual discipline. Okay? This woman right here couldn't come to me with her mouth open, with a sign above it saying insert here. Because I'm like, I have standards. I'm like, nah, you ain't pretty enough. All right. But brothers, it's like, forget them. Right? Forget them. And hold on, I'm going to show you another article of a husband saying that he's going to stand by her. Hold on real quick. Okay, so this is the woman's, this is her looking like the Penguin from Batman. And this is her husband. All right, you can tell, I'll just, here's some more pictures. Okay. So the husband said, nah, I'm going to stick by my wife no matter what, because they're in an open relationship, which basically it sounds like he's a cuckold. It's a open cuckold. You see what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you got to watch out for women like this. These type of women right here with faces like that, they will toss it up instantly. I've seen it. I've seen women with a face like hers toss it up to an entire department and get everybody in trouble. And the woman who tossed it up to everybody in that department was not that good looking at all. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it on a street level. I've seen it in at the workplace. I've seen it. Okay. So keep that in mind when you travel, because some of you brothers, you guys claim you want nines and dimes, and clearly this woman ain't nowhere near a nine or a dime. This woman is every bit of a 4. All right. And y'all will still hook up with a woman like this because she's white and she was willing to hook up with you. And y'all will hook up with them anyway. Right? Y'all will lay down with them anyway. And some of these women, it came to you too easily. So you're like, oh, what the hell? Right? And you go along with it. You go along with it, and now you're getting fired while your white coworkers who did the same thing, they're just taking a 2-day suspension with pay, right? Then you ask that dumb question, well, how come they didn't get fired? How come you know why? All right? So, my thing is this, raise your standards. Okay, a lot of these women out here, especially most women are not nines and dimes. Like Kevin Samuels said, most women of today are average, and there's some women who are below average. This woman, even though she has a husband, it's still a lot of hurt and pain and things she had to go through looking in that mirror growing up. Because I'm looking at her and I could tell, right? I'm pretty sure it took a while for her to find herself and to get comfortable in, looking at herself in the mirror, right? She might have been a little bit overweight growing up. She might have been underweight, and she probably looked worse, as she was growing up in her teen years, right? She didn't get the attention that some of the other girls got. Some women, it's just like, some women like that just walk the straight and narrow path. Okay, you're dating, then you break up here and there, then you find the right guy and y'all are together. But it might have took 3 or 4 or 5 guys before you actually found the one. Long-term relationships, right? That's fine. That's normal. Somebody who had a normal life, who had high self-esteem about themselves. But some of these other women, man, like this one right here, you could tell it's just nobody looked her way. The type of woman that had to offer her number to people and people still didn't text her back, right? The kind of woman that people just didn't see. The kind of woman that had a real pretty friend and like, what's her name again? Megan Hall. Oh, she does look like a Megan, right? Let's say she had a real pretty friend named Lisa or Jennifer, right? She had a real pretty friend named Jennifer. Megan was always hanging out with Jennifer. They were always together. And the guys who were jocks, lifting weights, part of, on the sports team at their school, in shape or in college or whatever, the type of guys that both her and Jennifer likes, the guys approach Jennifer, never approached Megan, but see, Megan was always with Jennifer. So instead of saying, hey, Jennifer, hey, Megan, it's just, hey, Jennifer, how's it going? She never heard, hey, Megan, right? And if she heard, hey, Megan, it was coming from a guy that she didn't really find attractive. It was like, hey, Megan. And that was the best she could get for her looks, but it's just like, I want what Jennifer has. I don't want what I can get, right? But what Jennifer has, they don't even acknowledge me. Then Megan will step up and be like, oh, hey, I'm here too. Oh, there you are. Anyways, hey, Jennifer, we got this party going on, this house party. It's at my spot this weekend. You want to go? And it's just, who's all going to be there? Oh, yeah, it's just a house party. It's just me, but, I'm going to have some drink and stuff. But, you're more than welcome to come. Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds like fun. Megan steps in. Hey, can I go? Why don't you go dive in some trash somewhere? You dumpster diver looking chick. Like, why don't you go dive in some trash? Why are you talking to me? It's just like you got that cold treatment. So, and it's not always that the ugly friend are treated. And you want to know what's crazy is that the pretty friend knows her ugly friend is ugly, right? I remember when I was in Canada, when I first went to Canada, there was a girl I was messing around with. Her and it was like the 4 of them were inseparable. She had 3 other friends and they were all inseparable. Okay. And one of them looked like the little leprechaun from Leprechaun in the Hood, right? One of them looked exactly like her, one of her friends. And she would tell me, you know, she was hanging out with this friend, and she would tell me, like, you know, we've been out before, and, you know, she'll have, like, you know, she would tell me stories about her. She was like, you know, we go out and it's like, you know, she'll have sex with like 2 guys in a day. You know, and it's just like I don't get how she could do that. She's just so ugly. Right? And this is like her friend, right? They do everything together. You know what I'm saying? So the pretty friend, it's not that. It's not a, you know, it's not a jealousy thing. It's just like, I don't see, they're not jealous like how she can get 2 guys in a day. It's almost like, I don't see how guys even step to her because of how ugly she is. Don't they have eyes? Can't they see? You know, but the ugly girls, I'm telling you, they know they're ugly and they have real low self-esteem. So they'll just toss it up to anybody and everybody to kind of make themselves feel like, okay, I'm that chick, all right? I can take your man. And this is another thing I want to talk about in some of these polyamorous relationships. You got these relationships where the man, right? The men are in some of these relationships where you get into some of these open relationships with some of these women acting like you doing something player because you have multiple women or whatever, right? Well, we're married or we're together, but you know, I do my thing, she does her thing. And idealistically, that's not what men want to do. You want to be able to deal with other women while she's loyal to you, right? And when you get into some of these open relationships and you become a cuckold, trust me, all types of polyamorous relationships, it's not like you're dealing with multiple women and she's probably dealing with one other guy on the side. No, these women are messing around with everybody at her department, at her job, the trash man, the mailman, the milkman, if they're even still around. All right, the ice cream man. All right, you know, like the guy who's, you know, the trash man, the receptionist man, right? You know, they toss it up to everybody and anybody. They're extremely loose with it because they know guys are thirsty, and you can't do what she does. Right? You're in a relationship, you probably have one girl on the side who really likes you, and you're just like, hey, I want to be in an open relationship, so you know I can mess with this one girl. But these mud ducks y'all get with who wants an open relationship, they don't want one other guy on the side. They bring diseases over to you. All right. So I'm gonna end it right here. Sorry that I couldn't do the live stream the other day. Be careful. This is why I tell you guys, hey man, raise your standards. Leave women like this in the past. You gotta humble some of these women. All right. Because women, they'll humble you. They'll humble you when you're doing the right thing in life. You're educated, you travel, you're making good money, you pay all the bills, you have a nice car, you live in a nice neighborhood, and they'll humble you because you're not Pookie and Ray Ray. All right, y'all need to humble some of these women. I'm seeing, you know, since I've been back, I've seen too many guys that were fairly in shape, you know, decent looking with, you know, some of these like real, you know, real Jurassic looking women. You know, it's like, you know, obese and just ridiculous. I'm just like, you know, so Raise your standards. All right, I'm over and I'm out. Peace.